Welcome to Off the Cuff, Beyond the ENP. A little over 5 years ago, this series celebrated people who had just earned one of the most respected certifications in emergency communications. The National Emergency Number Association's coveted Emergency Number Professional certification and the right to add the letters ENP behind their names. We talked to them about studying, the exam itself, the journey to get there, and exactly what becoming an ENP meant to themselves and to others. But this series is no longer about that anymore. No, it's about everything that has happened next. Today, we're talking with professionals who didn't just stop after earning those 3 letters behind their names. They became mentors, leaders, volunteers, and advocates. The people who help make our profession stronger than they found it. Because earning your ENP is in no way the end of the story. Sometimes it's where the most significant chapters begin. So sit back and enjoy Fletch and his guest, another ENP leader, for a conversation that is off the cuff and after the fact. Now, here's Fletch.
Today, I'm excited to welcome someone that I've actually known throughout much of her ENP journey. 4.5 years ago, we sat down on one of the original off-the-cuff True Confessions of an ENP interviews shortly after she earned those 3 letters for herself. Now, since then, she's joined one of the largest fire departments in the country and now serves as second vice president of Florida, NENA, preparing her for what will eventually become the presidency of one of the nation's most active state chapters in public safety. So welcome back, Ericka Lakey, ENP. How are you? It's good to see you.
It's great to see you too. Luckily, we've kept in contact over the years. You've been huge in shaping my journey, so I really appreciate you inviting me back because I think it's great to have the where are they now follow-up conversations for anyone who's not sure where this path could lead, and everyone's story is going to be different. So that's what makes it exciting.
It's funny. I use ChatGPT and Agentic AI a lot to create the scripts and the content and the graphics for this. And as I worked through, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 iterations of what this reboot of Off the Cuff is going to be, I had it review past episodes and suggest guests that would be relevant and, follow the format that we were looking to create. You were the number 1 pick every time I ran that analysis.
Because I hacked your system.
That's the first thing that my wife said. She hacked your system.
I mean, you gotta keep up on your cybersecurity.
Oh my God.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think it is because we have a lot of conversations. So that makes sense. Yeah, and I told my ChatGPT that I'm getting ready to do a follow-up podcast with Fletch. And so it came up with an outline because I wasn't sure what to talk about, but I'm like, what am I worried about? We have plenty to talk about.
Oh my God. I know. It's so funny. I put together an outline. I'm like, did I really expect this to be anything but that?
No, but I appreciate the effort. Yes.
AI is an amazing tool if you use it for what it was designed for. So many people use it as a replacement for Google, and it's like, I don't know. You know how I feel about that.
Yeah, it's a great tool in the right hands, but unfortunately, I think we see it in a lot of the wrong hands, and we just have to be wary of that because I actually have an article coming up in a 911 publication soon, and I actually came up with this, not AI, but it's polished word vomit. If you don't use it the right way, it looks good, but then when you start reading it, it's like, okay, what is this? This doesn't make sense. It's kind of like whatever you say, but I think we're seeing a lot of that in the legal industry with attorneys, and it's unfortunate. And my sister is an attorney and they're not allowed to use AI at all. And so I told her, we use AI all day, every day, but with that comes a lot of responsibility. Yes.
So to put the guardrails to say lockdown, you can't use it. I don't agree with that because everybody else is using it. You've got to use it, but you've got to establish the guardrails.
That's right. With great power comes great responsibility.
So this segment's actually called Then and Now. And it's an idea that I stole from Emily Miller at the Wilmette Choir on a podcast I did. She only gave me 2 choices. I'm going to let you freeform the answer, so I'm not completely stealing it from her. I'm going to acknowledge it. I'm not going to apologize for it.
All right, let's see what happens.
All right, here we go. true evolution of an ENP, then versus now. Let's start where we left off. When we first talked, you had just become an ENP. If you could go back and talk to that version, what would surprise her the most?
ENP is a huge benchmark in our industry, but it's also the beginning of a different journey. And I think for a lot of people, it might seem like a final destination, but that's something that as soon as I became an ENP, I knew my journey had just started. So it's been very exciting to see that it's opening doors that I didn't know were there. But then I have to walk through the doors and do some more work.
Okay. So locations, Orlando, Florida, or hope I get this right, North Carolina.
Orlando.
Why?
I enjoy being in Central
You can't
Florida.
love the mouse that much.
No, Central Florida has more than the mouse. So I love being in Central Florida. I grew up mostly in Tennessee. So when I moved down here, I saw it as a land of opportunity. And that's how I started my 911 journey. So I don't regret anything that led up to me ending up in Central Florida. So I think that's why it's special. And then all three of my girls were born in Orlando. And it's kind of a joke that no one's really born in Florida. Everyone kind of moves here. So I definitely consider it my new home. And there's just so much opportunity here. I think you just have to know where to look. And then not to mention, it's a great conference circuit because a lot of people love to come to Orlando. So it's nice not always having to travel to conference locations. I can just go down the road.
Good enough. And you know all the back roads to get to where you need to go. We had that.
Right, yeah.
Although all my back roads from when I lived down there are now 4-lane super highways. None of my back roads exist anymore.
Yeah, you're paying tolls everywhere you go, but time is money.
My God, when we went down to your house for 4th of July 2 years ago, I said to my wife, don't worry, I know how to get there. This is a piece of cake.
I know a shortcut. Oh gosh. Yeah, now it's like that used to be an orange grove, that used to be a cow pasture. And it's funny, like even me saying that because I haven't lived here my whole life. But yeah, we've seen a lot of growth. And I think being one of the fastest growing counties, areas in the US has been really great, especially for the 911 industry, because we get to see a lot of the new technology that comes in, and a lot of vendors, like I said, like with conferences, love to come here too. So I think I'm in a good spot, especially being next to an international airport. So I have to fly anywhere. It's right there.
Let's talk about how the ENP changed your career. One of the things that you've always said publicly is that you believe that earning your ENP played a significant role in helping you secure the position, especially the one that you have now. Did your employer recognize it?
Honestly, it wasn't in the job description, but I think more than just the 3 letters is the knowledge that comes with it and the confidence. So I think that's what really made me stand out as a viable candidate, because I did apply to an agency as an external candidate, and that's not entirely unheard of in the 911 world, but it's something that a lot of agencies are starting to open up their doors a little bit more, because it is more recognized that we all are doing the same job, just in different places. So I think that was great. And my current manager was aware of my industry involvement, and so I think that definitely played a role as well. And I think he knows and respects the ENP title as well. So I think that definitely helped having an advocate who was aware of ENP, and then internally he could advocate for me as well. And then, I don't mean to brag, but I don't think he really had to advocate too much, because I think just being in the interview and be able to talk about projects I've worked on and anything from training to operations to technical, I was able to show I had the knowledge. But that comes along with earning the ENP. It's not just 3 letters and you're done. Like it's continuous learning.
So do you think, in addition to the confidence, was there technical knowledge that it brought to the table?
For my current role, I'm in operations, so not as much as my previous roles, but I think my primary job duties, no, but all my extracurricular industry involvement, yes. And one example I thought of was when I first broke into the conference circuit presenting several years ago, is right before I got my ENP or started studying for it. I actually did a session on wellness. So, wellness is very big in our industry. And then I've noticed as the years have gone on, my topics have evolved, and in a good way. So while I'm still passionate about wellness, I'm able to bring in more sessions that are unique to my style of blending operations and technology into a training. So I think now when I look back at my sessions, it's more training. It's more technical to non-technical audiences because I just want to bridge that gap. Like, what are frontline personnel really in need of? What's going to be a way to explain it to dispatchers and to supervisors who are going through the motions, but not really understanding why they have to report something, why they have to, look up an acronym, and then they're able to have that connection and someone explain to them in plain talk, and they're not busy taking a 911 call. They're able to watch a conference session. They're able to read an article. So I think I've been able to find my niche, just, going to conference circuits. And not only am I building up my knowledge, I'm also building up my resume, my list of publications, because that is something that I try to actively update. And it's actually come in handy for other outside things I've been able to do outside of my primary job. But that's something I'm most proud of, is just being able to take the knowledge and then give back to people in a different way. And I most recently presented at Navigator in April, and I spoke about laws and protocols, and I wanted to break it down into something that was digestible for frontline personnel and maybe leadership who wasn't very familiar with it, but then they have a way to show how you can make training fun. And it doesn't have to just be, okay, let's read this white paper and then talk about it. No, we have a way to incorporate it so it makes sense. And then Navigator IAD, they enjoyed it so much. They asked me to write a journal article about it. So I'm excited to be able to see that come out soon. I'm not sure the exact publication. And luckily I have mentors in the industry that I can reach out to make sure that I'm not just winging it and making it up as I go. So that's something I'm really big on. I'm always fact checking, whether it's with AI, if it's something that I'm working on. I want another set of eyes to look at it, because I know the knowledge that I know today and yesterday, it's going to be different tomorrow. So I want to make sure I can future proof it. And then I try to put the disclaimers on there. This is my source. This is the date of publication. Someone wise taught me that, like as soon as you publish it, it's going to be outdated. So you got to put that mark on there.
Yep. Absolutely. And I appreciate all the time you come to me. You're not only are you an incredible speaker and an incredible instructor, but you're an incredible student. I really enjoy having the conversations that we have and really working through a problem.
I think it's great to have, that different network, because it's one thing to ask a coworker, it's one thing to ask your boss a question, but to have someone else in the industry be able to calibrate your work and, is this crazy or does this actually make sense? So most of the times it ends up being a crazy idea, but for me, I think what I enjoy most is just knowing my audience and being able to tailor that message to the audience, because in my previous role doing public education, I really enjoyed it, but there's more than just 5-year-olds out there who need to know how to dial 911. And then when I realized it's frontline, it's leadership, it's other professionals, that's when I really started to fine tune my craft. So one thing I'm the most proud of outside of work, but being able to bring it all together, is the drowning prevention efforts. I think that's something that, being in Central Florida, I'm very passionate about. That was my previous experience, was, lifeguarding, swim instructor, and then just finding a way to bring it all together. So that's something that, you've been a part of the journey. I think it's important that professionals know about Carey's Law. They know about the Rape Bombs Act, because a lot of times in these aquatic facilities, they're just focused on, get the person out of the water, get CPR started, call 911. And then now I'm able to have a different conversation. And I don't know how far my reach has gotten, but I've had other people ask me to speak and present to them. So I know I can't be everywhere, but if I can educate just enough and then they can pass the message on a little bit more, I think that's something that's an extension of your work as well.
Well, no, I really appreciate that. And it makes me feel so good when I see that happen in people. I feel like I've actually contributed and expanded. As you build your professional network, what do you think drives that? Is it the confidence in you, the recognition, your speaking opportunities, your leadership, your mentorship, and your menteeship, if that's what it's called, because you've done that as well. And you've benefited in several areas. What do you think makes you so attractive as a resource to other people in this industry?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think for me, I'm able to connect dots that maybe not everyone sees. And when you have someone that has a similar background and then you just start talking to them, I think for me, that's when I start making these connections. And then I'm able to take a little bit farther and then put a spin on it, because we're all doing something great out there. But then, I definitely don't want to reinvent the wheel. But if I can, put my spin on it and show, hey, here's a different way to think about something. Here's another way we can reach other people. Then for me, that's the satisfaction of knowing I made a difference. Because unfortunately in Central Florida, there's a large drowning rate with the influx of tourists that come here. And so for me, I'm like, how can we approach this differently? So I think that's what I enjoy the most, is just being able to go to other industry professionals, and maybe I wouldn't have spoken to them before, but now they're asking me to come present to their professionals. One example is for Orange County, for the public schools, they have a network of social workers. And so immediately I'm thinking, okay, social workers are talking to kids, they're talking to adults. A lot of these kids live in hotels because they're temporarily unhoused. And so they have an opportunity to deliver the message much further than I could. And so when, presenting to that group, I was able to explain, you test the technology that you have and go into how it's different. And immediately I could see the light bulbs going off, because from their own experiences, the social workers knew, hey, when I call, my coworker, it shows up different on the caller ID, and then they're able to understand it. And then, we have that conversation, and then I know they're able to take it farther. And then they're able to say, well, if I have any more questions, can I reach out to you? And I'm happy to give my card. And I let them know, like, I don't have all the answers, but we'll try to find you the right resources. So I'm very open and honest about that, because I'm not able to go in and reprogram their phones, but I can tell you the steps you need to take so that they're aware of it.
And the people to call that probably, if not do it themselves, they will definitely know somebody.
Right, absolutely, yeah. And I think just having real news stories, it's not just a scare tactic, like, hey, this might happen. And like, no, here's something that actually happened. And I think that's what connects us all too, because we're so overwhelmed with social media, with news, with headlines. So I have to be very careful with the stories that I tell, because you kind of get desensitized to it after a while. But if I can give one specific example that pertains to a situation, then immediately they're sold. So I think that's the value in telling a story. They're going to remember that more.
As you become a leader, you're serving as second VP of Florida NINA now. That's a very different role than simply being an ENP. So when did leadership become part of that journey that you were going after? What made you decide to say, hey, count me in on that?
So I think for me, 17 years in the 911 industry, when I first started out, it was, your career is very straight. You go up the chain of command. And then when I started moving into different roles, I realized I don't have to go up the chain of command. I might want to come over to an admin role or support role, and that's going to take me out of operations, but I'm going to learn so much more. So I think that was when I started realizing that there's other areas of opportunity for leadership, not just at my agency. So being involved in the extracurriculars in the industry, I saw another opportunity to lead. And I've really enjoyed it, because it's nice being able to have that frontline experience to pull upon, but then also hear how other agencies are doing it, what other professionals are dealing with. And then I can bring that back to my agency in a different way and let them know, hey, we're not the only one. I have a network of people. And I think that, people really respect that, because they see we're not the only ones struggling with this, but maybe they weren't sure who to speak up to or what to say. And then now we have a connection, whether it's through Florida NINA, Florida APCO, even Priority Dispatch. We have a Florida focus group that's about the protocols. And so I'm very active in all three, because I think that's important, because we're all doing a little bit of the same. There's a little bit of overlap, and there's very few people I've noticed in all the groups at the same time. So I think just trying to show we're all connected. So let's, make sure we make the most of our networking and our resources.
So now, as you get ready for the presidency that's coming up pretty shortly, time is ticking through.
Yeah.
Besides making the Florida NINA chapter one of the only chapters in the country with access to a 45-foot water slide, if you know,
New logo.
What do you think you've learned that is going to really help most members that they didn't see happening behind the scenes? What are you going to do to make your stamp on the industry?
Yeah, so even as the second VP, I've been able to start making a difference. So as the second VP for Florida NINA, I was really excited to be able to propose to the executive board an idea I had, because we already have Florida NINA ENP scholarships. And as a recipient of a NINA scholarship, I know how valuable that is. But then I also saw that there was a missing area. So I proposed to the board, I said, what if we have a Florida NINA study group? And then in addition to the study group for the executive board members, if we have an extra incentive that the recertification for ENP is covered, because I noticed that whenever we would have nomination for officers, they would extend the nomination. They would ask people to please apply. And so already I'm seeing, okay, if the ENP is a requirement to be a board member, and then we don't have that many Florida ENPs, how can we fix this deficit? So luckily everyone on the board, seemed to be on board. It's going to take a little bit of work, but I think that's okay, because when we all pitch in, we all have different areas of knowledge that we can, present on, and we'll have something that we can give back to everyone in Florida. And maybe not just Florida, maybe other people will tune in, because we definitely plan on having it recorded so other people could go back. Because I know it's hard to do live sessions just with everyone's schedule. So that was something I found really valuable when I was studying for my ENP, was just being able to watch recorded sessions on my own time. So I'm looking to do that, and I'm hoping to have shorter segments, and not just like these big hour-long chunks of time, because I think if we break it down, okay, I can manage 5 minutes here, I can do 20 minutes here, 10 minutes here, and that gives us an opportunity to have different speakers present, even if it's the same topic, but just a different perspective. So I'm really excited about that. And then just having the extra perk of having your recertification covered, that's huge, because we know the exam itself is expensive. And even though we know 4 years later, you got to pay the $300 to recertify, that can be a significant amount of money, especially if an agency hasn't budgeted to cover that for someone. So I was really excited about that. So I can't wait to see what's going to happen next, and just being able to make it more attainable for people in Florida.
So one of the goals of this new series, Off the Cuff Beyond the ENP, is starting to explore how experienced folks like yourself are going to use their magical powers they've attained to give back to the industry. What does giving back mean to you? I know you do it all the time.
I think for me, I like to say, leave it better than I found it, and extend the ladder back down for the next person. So I'm really big on professional development. I think that's one reason why I enjoyed mentoring Nina's mentoring program. So I'm now in a role as a mentor, because last time I was a mentee. So just anything I can do to contribute and help people out, whether it's a resource, it's just a different way to look at an idea. I think that's something I take a lot of pride in, because I have the thought of, I've been through it, so I don't want you to go through it. And then other people might have the mentality, well, I had to do it this way, so you have to do it this way. But I don't think it always has to be like that. So it's just a different approach. And I know it's not for everyone, but I just want everyone to know, if you are ready to do it, there's people out there who are willing to help you.
So what's your advice for the next generation? Imagine someone's just getting their ENP for the first time, and they're all excited about it. They're proud. Now what? What advice would you give them to get the most out of those next 5 years?
Sure. Out of all the topics you have to study for ENP, I think you're kind of drawn to certain areas a little more than others. So that's the area that's your calling, that's your passion. So for me, while studying for ENP, I was drawn to MLTS, Carey's Law, Ray Baum's Act, because that was a problem I had noticed in my own agency, and I wasn't sure how to tackle it. So that was why I became so involved. And then that was one way we were able to connect, because you were able to explain it to me. It wasn't just this huge technical concept. And then also with anything technical, it's just a way to explain it to non-technical, because there might be non-technical now, but eventually they can become technical. So, how do you make a frontline dispatcher all the way to ENP? There's a lot of steps involved. So if you don't have someone along the way, it's going to be very difficult. Is it possible? Yes, but it's always better if you have someone who can go along the journey with you.
Cool. So this is where I'm going to totally steal Emily Miller's idea and do a lightning round.
Okay.
So quick answers. Don't think about it. I want to know what Ericka thinks. Coffee or energy drink?
Coffee.
First shift or second shift?
First.
Text or phone call?
Text.
I could have answered that one. For you, at least.
Right.
That device you carry will actually make a phone call, because us old people don't always like to type. Just saying, Well,
it depends if you want something in writing or not.
Yeah. You're smart.
I mean.
Favorite conference?
Navigator.
Favorite conference city?
Ooh, Orlando.
Come on.
I want to go far.
One word that describes Florida Nina. This will come back and bite you.
Passionate.
The biggest reason or the biggest lesson that you've learned since earning your ENP?
Your studying has just started, so buckle up. You're going to be learning a lot more. So now I'm so used to it. Like I'm studying for my PMP right now. I'm just so used to always studying. So it's good and bad, because I got done with my cybersecurity risk management certificate, and I'm like, okay, what else? And then PMP, and I'm already planning ahead after PMP, what next? So I just have to make sure that it's manageable and attainable.
And you're putting all these certs to use. I mean, you're doing side jobs that you're utilizing those certifications for. I mean, that's money.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, these certificates cost money, but they make you money, but it's more than just about the money. It's about the knowledge that comes with it. So like one area I do need to strengthen up on is GIS. Like that's my next big area to tackle. So after PMP, so I'm just going to have the whole alphabet behind my name, but I think it's more than that. It's the story about, how it's all coming together.
Yeah, GIS, I think, is one of those magic building blocks that really tells the whole story, or it brings the whole story together. And working on the indoor mapping working groups and with Brooks and a lot of different people, and Carrie, they really showed me the value of GIS. And that's definitely new entry on my bucket list. What's the most rewarding moment in your career so far?
In my career, I think being able to say I'm a subject matter expert or an expert witness, because it definitely balances the imposter syndrome.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of those things.
That's a good one, actually.
Yeah. It's one of those things that, once all the data comes together and you see the facts, and you're like, that's right. And then it's been really great. And then it's something that I'm able to kind of tell the story of like how everything comes together and why it's so important. And then, when you're telling the story to people who aren't there yet, you don't start off with, hey, I'm an expert witness. Hey, I'm a subject matter expert. So I think it's important that you start where they are and then just slowly build the story so they can see what's possible. And I think that's something that, that I enjoy doing, because a lot of people, they might feel stuck in a certain position or a certain place. And I just want to show people like, if you're willing to put in the work, you can be somewhere completely different.
So my last question for you is a 4-parter.
Okay.
Looking forward, what's next? Professionally, personally, for Florida Nina, and for emergency communications as a whole?
I don't really have a plan. And I think that's something I've had to learn along the way. Life happens when you're busy making plans, and you can never plan anything perfectly, which is ironic because I'm very much organized and I want to be a project manager. So professionally, I just want to see more technical projects coming together with my, hopefully my soon PMP, and then cybersecurity, and then just trying to bring it all together, connecting the dots. And I think that'll carry over into Florida Nina, just being able to show other professionals what's possible, and then just continuously building that network. Because that's something that, we always have people leaving the industry and coming into the industry, and they don't always start in 911. So if they come from another industry, I want to learn as much as possible. Why public safety? Why did you come here? And then just be able to show them what's possible here. Let's see what else. Yeah. So I think
more than and emergency comms as a whole.
Yeah. I can't imagine myself doing anything else. I like doing the independent contract work on the side, some consulting. I think that's really exciting, just being able to bring it all together in a different way. So that keeps it interesting for me. So I don't just go to work, clock in, clock out, and then when I come home, I can completely detach. I work on other projects because that's what keeps me excited. And, when I go back to work, I'm like, okay, I can tackle this problem a little bit differently now because I've spent time working on something else. So I can start to see the patterns. And that was one thing I scored really high on when I was doing the cybersecurity stuff, was just the patterns and the data analysis. So I thought that was kind of cool. I'm like, what, that is right. I'm able to look at things and see stuff that, maybe someone else can't see, and then just kind of show people a different perspective.
And I wasn't kidding. As I was producing all this and going through all my past episodes, looking for potential guests, it said, oh, you've got to interview Ericka Lakey. Okay. Did you have your AI tool talking to my tool, or what's going on here?
It's probably they're all connected somehow, but yeah, I think that's great because we're able to bridge generations of knowledge, and then we have different backgrounds and experiences. We all do. No one has the exact same story, so I love that. We're all able to come back together and see where we ended up like in a few years. So we joke about that. We wonder about colleagues. I wonder where they are now. So some of us are more out there with our experience. I try to be active on LinkedIn so that way people know I'm available, and then I'm active in different committees or industry. But I'm always willing to help anyone that is going to shoot me an email or connect on LinkedIn. And if I don't know the answer, I'll try to direct them to someone who does know the answer. But thank you so much for being able to sit down and just kind of look back at the last 4 years, because that is a milestone in itself after ENP for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, we've taken it to, hey, I passed my ENP, to, hey, my ENP helped shape my career a little bit. And now we're moving into, I am helping shape the profession. And that's the exact progression that ENP was designed to do. And I'm glad I'm able to document it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being a part of my journey and then being a great mentor. I think that definitely helps having mentors. So that's one reason why I want to get back as a mentor as well. So hopefully I can help the next generation come through the ranks.
And thank you for being a part of my journey. All right, listen, best to the family. Take care. And hopefully we'll catch up with y'all soon.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Take it easy. Bye-bye.
That wraps up yet another special episode of Off the Cuff, Beyond the ENP, part of the TiPS, Today in Public Safety series of podcasts by Fletch. This podcast is copyright 2026, but may be shared with attribution and linked to the original content. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe for more episodes of TiPS, published every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on social media and always streaming live at 911tips.com. Thanks so much for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. And, as always, if you're in public safety, thanks for what you do every single day. Stay safe and take care.